Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to round one of the Pro Play Tour Invitational taking place here in Orlando, Florida. I'm Alex Emo, joined by Mr. Joseph Rothschild, and we have your round one feature match ready. So we're not going to bring you any Spiral yet, although there might be an appearance of Magician Souls. I'm not 100% sure.
There could be.
There could be. But we want to bring you a deck that a lot of people didn't have a lot of faith in after the ban list, with Electromite going to 0 and Servant going to 1. We've got Pendulums, baby.
And it's being piloted by Izzy Cruz. Izzy is a fantastic player in the Philadelphia area, constantly taking down events. And if anyone can make Pendulum work in a post-Electromite world, it's going to be this guy.
Yes, and he's going up against Garret Befera. For those of you who don't know, he was one of the zombie players I alluded to earlier who is here. He's actually very well known for playing this deck. I believe, if my memory serves correctly, I think he might have actually topped the NAWCQ playing this list, or like something. He topped a very high premier event, like playing a zombie. I think he was playing like Zombie Orchest.
Wow.
Back then, yeah.
Wow,
He's been playing zombies for quite some time, and oh man, this is going to be a match. So,
I'm excited.
Yeah, we're not going to keep you guys in suspense any longer. Let's just go ahead and get right into it. So how do you feel about, how do you even feel about this matchup? You know,
it's hard to get a sense of. It depends on both what the zombie player is playing in terms of good equalizers. Routinely you see them on stuff like super polymerization, of course, and that'll matter very much. But what does the Pendulum end board look like? You know, can it beat a main deck evenly matched? Can it beat main deck super polymerization? And I think the answer is probably yes to both of those. I always bet on Izzy when I have the opportunity, so I'd certainly give it to him. And he's leading with, the battery.
Mythical Institution, and that's going to be the mythical beast Baby Jackal, as a matter of fact.
Now, Baby Jackal's a strong card, and importantly, puts counters on Mythical Institution.
Yep, which is exactly what he's going to do, and hopefully we're going to maybe see this Mythical Institution get fired off here. Now, I'm really curious to see, because like I said earlier in the pregame show, if you were watching, there was actually so many different, spicy things that people are playing in their Pendulum list. So
absolutely.
I don't know if we're going to get to see any of that here. There's a Basilisk, okay?
Wow.
So
really, really deep on these mythicals.
Yes, Basilisk is not something that you see too often. I believe he's using the scale effect of Basilisk, which I believe you shuffle a scale back, and I think you get to draw a card.
Yeah, and then, of course, the Mythical Institution will tick up as well. Now, Mythical Institution's able to remove any number of counters and then search your deck for a card that can have spell counters put on it with a level number of the number of counters removed. So if it's on 4, he could necessarily go get a 4-star monster. And it looks like he's about to do that right now.
So it looks like he's going to go for 3 here.
Three
counters.
What would you get for 3?
I don't know. What level 3 spellcaster do you play in a deck like this? Maybe Servant of Endymion.
That seems like a pretty good one. So this is, I think, the reason you'd play Mythical Institution. Of course, Servant went to 1 in the ban list, but if you can search it with a card you play 3 of and an additional card you play 3 of in Magical Mastery, it becomes much more accessible.
And so now here we have a spell book, Magician, I believe, of Prophecy. He's going to go ahead and search himself a copy of Secrets, and this is just going to allow him to easily fuel up his Servant here, and he's going to be able to easily resolve that without a problem.
I love the inclusion of the tiny spellbook engine. I believe it's just a knowledge, Blue Boy, and a Book of Secrets. Because you don't need to be using your normal summon to normal summon a monster to link away into Electromite anymore, you're free to use it on something like a Blue Boy, which can fuel your actual win condition at this point in time, Servant.
Correct. So he's going to search the knowledge. Knowledge can easily just sacrifice off the Magician of Prophecy. He's going to draw a couple cards, and more importantly, he's also going to get these spell counters on this Servant here.
Additionally, it looks like he's very deep on the spellbook package. That makes me think he's devoted to sort of the new build of the deck that includes the Crowley link.
And now we have Magical City of Endymion as well.
Yup. Wow, this is looking really good for Izzy already. He hasn't even performed the Pendulum Summon, and he's already got the negators on the field.
Right. Now, this is really big because now all of his counters, if they get removed, they're just going to go over to the field spell. So this is going to be nice, just helping facilitate a lot of different plays. He's going to use Servant to summon a monster that can hold the spell counter, which in this case is going to be Jackal King, which is going to prevent him from being hit by any of Garrett's plays, which I'm not sure if Garret is exactly playing a ton of different hand traps or anything like that, but We'll just have to see. It looks like Garrett's pretty much just letting Izzy do his thing at this point. But this is showing that Pendulum's still looking pretty strong even after this January 2020 ban list.
I would temper your expectations. So far, we've only seen the Jackal King. I don't know how much worse it's going to get for Garret, but this is a board that not only Is he excited for Izzy to end on? He has almost no time beating, in my opinion.
I think he drew a Master Endymion with that Pot of Desires.
Yeah,
Not
that's
too
really
sure.
bad.
Yeah.
All right, so here comes the Magister activation, it looks like. This card, oh no, sorry, not the Magister activation, the movement here.
Look at how many dice Izzy has to use for spell count. I think that's one of like the things with this deck that like you really have to keep track of all your spell counters.
There's investments for any deck, of course. You have to buy your incredibly powerful game-winning cards, but the real investment in Pendulum is buying a cube full of dice.
Sure.
Oh, wow. Is that the end board? Ooh, I certainly hope not.
I don't think so. No, that's not going to be it. So it looks like we're going to
All right,
see.
here's the activation.
Yeah, so he's going to use the activation of Magister here. Using counters from the Magical Citadel of Endymion, he's going to go ahead and summon out the Basilisk. Remember, Magister allows you to special summon a monster from your extra deck.
Yep.
In a similar way to how Servant summons from the deck, Magister summons from the extra deck. So Basilisk is now in the extra monster zone.
You know, despite being called a Pendulum list, this isn't doing any Pendulum summoning.
Yeah, there's at least not yet anyway. But
all right, here's IP
Masquerena. We might be seeing at the end of the turn. Okay, Master Endymion coming down as well. We're going to get some more spell counters here. We're going to use... Is he just going to summon?
Wow, that
Master?
would... I don't know about that one.
Let's see where this is going to go. Oh, does Garret have a response?
What would you respond to this
I'm
with, I
not
wonder?
sure because he has the Jackal King. So, like, I mean...
All right, we're decreasing the counters in order to
Yeah.
bring that big boy out.
Okay, so he's going to go ahead and put his... he's going to destroy the Servant, put Servant back in the scale.
Wow, incredible.
And now this is going to allow him to continuously take up the Citadel.
Wow, this is a really strong opening. I mean, he didn't even need complete scales to end on this board. It's a monster negation. It's a spell and trap negation,
Ooh.
and now he has the scales anyway.
Right, so he has the scales, and the one issue here is his Master doesn't have a counter on it.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have its built-in immunities, but I don't think that's going to be an issue.
I don't know how much he cares about that.
Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and I think bring back the Basilisk here. And
passes it back.
It's funny because it's like this board is like really big, but like what do we really have here? So we have a Magister that can most likely activate during the opponent's turn because he has spell counters on Citadel. He's got the Masquerena. He's got the Jackal King.
And he's got Endymion.
He's got Endymion. It doesn't have a counter yet, but again, I don't think that's going to take too long for him to get one.
This is, honestly, I think this board is nigh unbreakable without ever having to devote any space to these ridiculous extra deck plays.
So we saw an Allure from Garret here. He banished a copy of Doom King Balderok, and now we're going to see an activation of a Danger here. He rolls the 1. I think he unfortunately hit the Danger. He did. I think
Wow,
he was a
that's
Chupacabra. That's unfortunate.
American Sniper. Let's see if he gets it again.
I think this one's going to resolve.
Okay, he did whiff.
All right, so Chupacabra going to go ahead and draw a card there. So we're 50-50 for our Danger activations.
All right, so let's see. Do you think we will find the Mothman here? Let's go, Izzy. What do you got? No, he's going to
negate it. Okay.
I don't dislike this.
Ooh, and there's the Solitaire.
And then all of a sudden I do. So I would consider using one of the disruptions available, and it looks like Izzy is doing so as well, firing off the Magister, likely to get a bounce from deck.
Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and use Magister's effect, remove 3 spell counters from anywhere on the field. He's going to go ahead and get the reflection of Endymion, which bounces.
All right, so last Danger activation, and we know the 2 cards in hand. One of them, if it goes to the graveyard, is going to mean nothing for Izzy.
Yes.
I mean, Garrett's got to draw something incredible off the top, and with the Danger.
Ooh, he gets it. Okay, so he gets the Jackalope. He gets to draw a new card here. He's going to blind Allure.
We've all been there, folks. And I think he's negated. Did he negate this?
I think he negated it with the Master Endymion.
Completely understandable, honestly. With only 1 card remaining, I think you're pretty happy to take those.
So he's going to Foolish Burial Mizuki now.
Foolish Burial's nice, but we still have the IP Masquerena available.
Right.
If he makes any sort of graveyard play, we can just IP Masquerena at a critical juncture and end the turn. Then on the crackback, just OTK.
Now, to be fair, I mean, he has actually played through, Garrett's played through this board that Izzy's assembled rather well. I mean, it's given the circumstances, it's not an easy board to crack by any means.
I mean, he's fetched the negate, but
right.
Very little else.
Wow.
Oh, and there's the
Appaloosa.
That's got to be a scoop.
That's got to be, like, the dagger here. That Appaloosa is on 2,400 attack.
So notably, he hasn't activated the effect of Shiranui Solitaire. No, it's a Chupacabra. I was going to say if he finds a way to get Mizuki into the graveyard, he could potentially reborn it and then use that, but can't beat an Appaloosa, and that's a quick game one.
Yep, that's going to do it. So game one is going to go to Izzy here, and is Pendulum still dead, ladies and gentlemen? It doesn't look like it.
I mean, it certainly seemed to put on a clinic there. The same.
If you guys remember Steven Bronder, the winner of Pro Play Tour Dallas back in November, he was playing Orcus back then. He's on Dino for this
Dino,
event.
now that's a greedy
He's
deck.
on Dinosaur. So, like, again, that just goes to show you've got the top competitors from these events.
Is he going to make him go first?
Playing these crazy strategies, and let's see what happens game two.
See, but this is what I'm talking about. That set card is a super polymerization. Imagine how much more powerful it would be if he could just eat Izzy's board.
So we have a Unizombie here. Unizombie, obviously one of the best cards you can have if you're a zombie player.
Is he representing Ash here? I don't think so. Yeah, okay.
So we're going to go ahead and use the effect of Unizombie here. It's going to go ahead and send a Balderrock to the grave.
Do we have the field spell already? You know what would be decent against Pendulum is Zombie World.
That could be pretty nice.
Yeah, I hear it's okay.
Yeah.
Yep,
All right,
and
there it is.
So if the turn is just set a couple of super polymerizations, set a couple of super polymerizations, pass with the Balderrock, I mean, I don't know how upset you can be about that.
Yeah, because Balderrock's going to come back on the standby phase. Balderrock represents one form of disruption. Then you got the super poly. So now we're going to go ahead and pitch the Jackalope immediately here.
Just filling up the grave here. We're then going to go into a copy of
Mothman.
And I think we'll likely see these linked off for the zombie link to Vampire Sucker.
I think that's typically like what these zombie boards like to end on, which is so funny because it doesn't seem that imposing. But
no,
like,
it's not very strong.
But it's like, it's actually, in a lot of instances with zombie, like, it's good.
Yep, there it is.
All right, so
this will be able to draw a card when Balderrock returns and turn on both super polymerizations.
Correct. So now he gets to draw, and we're going to get to see here. Izzy's going to go ahead and quickly read Balderrock.
Yeah, it's really, really good. Much better against decks that are trying to activate monster effects instead of scale effects, but still very strong.
Yes, I mean, I think in the current climate, I mean, we've just seen the amount of monster effects that are still going on, so we will see what happens here. All right, so Izzy now has all the knowledge he needs, hopefully. And so now we're going to start with a Garuda.
Garuda's incredible. If he snipes the super poly here, I mean, that's just about it, right?
See if that happens. We're seeing if Garret might have a response to this. Keep in mind, this is a spell effect.
Yeah.
So what's he going to do?
Ooh.
This is tough.
Chat says he has Eradicator set. That would be incredible.
Eradicator for spells?
Eradicator for spell tributing this copy of Balderrock would be insane.
That would be so powerful. That could just literally just I was going to say eradicate, but that just kind of implies what the card actually
All right, looks
does.
like he's going for the zombie world, in
Interesting.
fact.
Okay. So now we see Reflection in the scale.
Yep.
And now we see Upstart Goblin. So we're going to see Garret gain 1,000 while Izzy takes another card.
So for what it's worth, if it was Eradicator, I think you would have shotgunned it there. You wouldn't allow your opponent to destroy your zombie world so easily.
Reflection, for those of you who don't know, essentially has the same effect as Servant or Magister, but it allows you to special summon from the hand instead of the deck or the extra deck, respectively. So now we're going to see a Pot of Desires here. It's going to tick up the Reflection one more time, but more importantly, it's going to give Izzy a couple more cards to work with here. Looks like he got a Spellbook of Secrets as that second one.
Not very good with a copy of Balderrock on field. Oh, wait, actually it's fine, because Spellbook Magician of Prophecy is no longer a zombie. If you have an Eradicator, fire it now.
And there is the Eradicator. So we're tributing up the Balderrock.
Just reveals the hand. Yeah, so that's actually the end of the game.
No, it just gets rid of the Spellbook.
Really?
Yeah.
That's it? Ugh, disgusting.
Unfortunately.
I was expecting a hand that was full of, like, the lab, the field spell, maybe a secret village of the spellcasters. That's not very interesting.
That's not that good. I mean, obviously these decks play a very high volume of spell cards, but
yikes.
Ooh. And he has the Servant, too.
See, I think what I would have preferred is you wait for him to scale a relevant card and then fire it then. You could have necessarily gotten something like the Garuda out of the scale and kept your zombie world. I mean, what is this doing for him, truthfully?
So we have the Baby Jackal on the field now, and then there is, I do not remember the name of that scale.
Oh, gosh. Oh, is that Kendo?
Yes, it's Ken. That's what it was.
Oh, my word. That's a TCG exclusive, right?
Possibly?
Try playing this one, OCG.
In any case, we're going to see, I believe, a Pendulum summon. So Reflection and Magister hit the field now.
To chat saying now he can't scale. Unfortunately, he can. While Eradicator Epidemic Virus is incredible, it's not that good. Its best utility in this matchup is like Heavy Storm Duster.
Yeah.
OCG has it. Okay, thanks, chat.
Yeah, okay. It's like, there's so many instances where, like, Eradicator is a blowout, and, like, I think you were just, like, really hoping for that, but there is the times where they just have the complete opposite hand of what you need. So we're going to see Reflection bounce the Vampire Sucker back into Garrett's extra deck, and things are not looking good here. Looks like we're just going to see some attacks declared.
This is what I like from Izzy. Izzy plays around everything. You can see he's refusing to commit to a board that would potentially lose to Super Poly because he knows Garrett's deck is rife with these great equalizers. You know, why would you overcommit when Garrett's on one card in hand, a Baylor Drock stranded in the graveyard, and you can just pretend to be the aggro deck for a couple of turns? You even have interruption in the form of the Magister on your side of the field.
So you're going to have to help me out here. Magister, I believe, is 15.
Oh, don't make me do math. All right, let me look it up.
And it looks like play is going to go back to Garret here while we get the life points sorted. But, again, not the most intimidating board.
Magister is 15.
Okay, and then Reflection, I believe, is like 2,000 or like 22.
Reflection is 1850.
Well, I'm not even close. So that's going to put Garret down to 5650. He went ahead and allured.
And that's a good one, but what are you trying to draw here?
It does give Servant another counter.
Oh, that's an incredibly powerful card.
But he does get to Magister, because Magister gets rid of spell counters from anywhere, so this will allow him to summon yet another Reflection.
Yeah, this seems like the end of the game.
And then he can just bounce back both his other Reflection and the Solitaire.
That's funny. Putting the other Reflection in hand means that you don't have to expend your extra Monster Zone on it.
Is he going to pass? Ooh.
I mean, what else can you possibly do? You've got an incredibly normal summon reliant deck. Garrett's entire chances in this match.
Oh, Monster Reborn.
Okay. All right. Never mind. I stand corrected. I was about to say the only thing he can rely on is this set Super Polymerization, but this Unizombie looks pretty good too.
Yeah, so he's going to go ahead and Unizombie now. Now that's going to help fuel the grave. Most likely he's going to send Mizuki.
Ooh, he's sending Necroworld Banshee.
That's
Why
good.
send Mizuki and bring back Baylor Drock when you can do better?
Yeah. So now Banshee's going to go ahead and banish itself. That's going to allow him to get the Zombie World directly from the deck. And then during the next standby phase, the Balderok is going to recover. That's going to represent another form of disruption. Now, the unfortunate part is it waits till Izzy's standby phase, so he doesn't get the benefit of like being able to deal with Izzy's current board.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the biggest problem here.
Gosh, why does Unizombie have to have 1,300 attack?
Just a little bit shy of being able to hit over that Magister. But Izzy does have scales anyway, so I mean he'd be able to bring it back.
Oh, so we're just gunning the Super Poly
We're just
now?
gunning the Super Poly. So
Hey,
we're
absolutely.
gonna pitch the Solitaire.
You see Izzy smiling a little bit, but I think it was pretty clear that this card was telegraphed to a player as good as him.
Oh yes, he can go for the Drago Nether.
Dragon Nether Soul, yeah.
Yes, the Nether Soul Dragon.
So the upside to playing Zombie World is putting it on your side of the field makes all cards on the field and in the graveyards zombies. This gives you a perfect Super Polymerization target in Dragon Necro Dunkler. This is a card with, 4,000 attack points? More importantly, though, it eats an entire board for free.
Correct, yes, and that's why, this is one of the reasons why the zombie deck, even though like you don't see this deck very often, it can be very deadly just for that combination alone. And so I believe we're going to battle here.
We already saw the battle step. Just getting a quick check on Nether Soul. I'm sure this has some sort of battle effect that I don't understand.
Nether Soul, I think, might be 3K. But in any case, while you're looking that up, on standby phase, we are going to see the Balderok resurrect itself. And now we're going to get to see Izzy to see if he can navigate this. He does still have scales, and Servant is ready to be activated.
So like, this is a big board, but it's not a very foreboding one.
Correct.
You can negate an effect with the effect of Baylor Drock, and you can banish a card. But that's all you've got. If you can deal with the Baylor Drock, the board is yours. And he's got a stacked extra deck with which to do it.
All right, so we're just going to pen summon here. We're going to go for double Reflection as well as the Endymion.
Wait, I don't understand. How did he do that? This deck Pendulum summons? This is the first one we've seen, the set. All right, so we're going to trigger a couple of effects here.
So I think we're looking, I think he's using reflection, and he's just denoting what he wants to bounce. And so I think he was targeting his kendo as well as one of his other reflections. And most notably, like I said, Servant's still ready to fire. And Magister can fire at some point. He just has to, replace his scales, which isn't too difficult. Garret taking a think here. We might see... No, everything's gonna get bounced. Okay,
wow.
So we're gonna see both the Balderrock and the Zombie World go back to the hand. He bounced back both of his scales, so he bounced back the Servant and the Kendo.
Mm-hmm. To those of you in chat saying you can only special summon Reflection once per turn, they're happening at the same time. And to those of you saying Pendulum summoning without arrows, those were from the hand.
All right, so now here's Absolute.
Absolute. Wow, that is a blast from the past.
Yes, and now we're going to get to see it linked off. We're going to see our good old friend Vortex Dragon with a Masquerena, nonetheless.
Okay. So this is sweet, and importantly has an out to Necrosoul Dragon.
Correct.
Not a ton of people know this because Pendulum goes first so frequently, but Vortex Dragon actually has an ETB effect. When it's summoned, you can get rid of a face-up attack position monster your opponent controls.
Yeah, it's so rare that you actually get to see the Vortex activation be used. Typically, it's just used as a negation, right? But, typically games are over before you would actually get to do that.
Whoa, I've drastically underestimated the life points remaining. I think I took away 8,000 at one point.
And Garrett's going to be down to 850 here, so it's not going to be looking too good. I mean, it's not impossible to out this, but it's going to be pretty difficult. You have to get through the Vortex negation. Masquerena could go into something like Unicorn, potentially. Yeah. So you have like 2 interruptions you have to play through. There's
Snake.
A Tsuchinoko.
I mean, do you let this resolve even? I almost think you just don't.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
He's looking at the graveyard thinking about it. Like, what on earth could happen? We know, in fact, one of the cards in hand is Solitaire, which is effectively dead with a copy of Masquerena on field. Unless the Solitaire was discarded for Super Polymerization?
No, it was discarded for the Super Poly. His hand is currently Zombie World Balderrock.
He did go for the negate. Oh, no. I mean, that's the end of the game.
His hand is Zombie World Balderrock.
Oh, cool.
Yep, and that's it.
A handshake.
Yeah, Garrett's going to extend the handshake. You can even see the look on his face. He was not happy about that. But, I mean, it actually performed pretty admirably, I would say. I mean, I don't think a lot of people would expect a deck like Zombie to actually be able to perform against, Pendulum, which was one of the strongest decks of last format. Also, looking pretty solid from just that one game alone. I'm sure this is not the last of it we're going to see.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For what it's worth, Izzy is an incredibly adept player, very intelligent, a storied Pendulum pilot. And while it did look like Zombies did have a shot at taking that second game, that was only after a miserable setup turn in which he was playing around Super Polymerization the whole time. Really, really excited that Pendulum seems to be still playable in some capacity without their flagship card.
Yeah.
And shouts out to Izzy for making it work.
For sure. I mean, you even saw, like, the efficiency at which he played. Like, he really did not take longer than 30 seconds to conduct any of his moves.
Oh, yeah.
And he was playing with such an adequate pace that
just
I thought
deliberation.
It was good. Both players just playing very well. And we got about, 15 minutes still before the next round should start. So what we're going to do is, in between the rounds, we're actually going to first get the post-game interview with Izzy, but then we're also going to probably play some old feature matches just in the meantime, so you guys have something to watch before we come back with the next round for you. So I'm going to go ahead and get Izzy over here for you guys for an interview. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. All right, welcome back to the Pro Play Tour Invitational here in Orlando, Florida. I'm here with your round 1 feature match winner, Mr. Izzy Cruz. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty well.
Good. So how'd you feel about that first match?
So winning the die roll definitely helped.
For sure.
That made it really easy. My deck pretty much just fixed itself. It's my hand was not great, but as I kept drawing cards and as I kept going through it, I was able to put up a pretty good board. And then game 2 is pretty much just try to play around Super Poly and get rid of Zombie World as fast as possible.
Sure. And so do you have a lot of experience with this matchup at all? Or because obviously Zombie's not exactly the most high-profile deck by any means.
So a friend of my locals actually played this deck for a long time, so just reading those cards. I definitely had to double read other cards just to make sure I didn't make any pretty big mistakes. I made a few like minor mistakes in my head that I know I have to go correct later, but for right now, it wasn't that bad.
Sure, that's fine. So I think the big question a lot of people are asking, new ban list, January 2020, Electromite's banned, Servants at 1. Why'd you decide to play Pendulum?
All right, so I was already planning on playing this deck for like maybe a month and a half, 2 months. I've been playing like different iterations of the deck. But ever since like Nibiru and stuff came out, not Nibiru, ever since the previous ban list before that came out, the Endymion deck was probably like the best version to play. And on top of that, Electromite didn't entirely matter in this deck. I went to like locals where I just played without like an extra deck entirely. So the scale effects do a bunch. You barely Pendulum summon. If you know what you're doing, you're going to be okay. If you don't, you will get punished very hard. It's kind of like playing the first iteration of Striker in a mirror match, where if you don't know what you're doing, you will get punished.
Sure. And so what are you afraid of the most in the field, like of going up against, or if there's any particular player you're trying to avoid?
So my deck is mostly made to beat the Spiral matchup. I think Altergeist is pretty easy. If you bring out Mighty Master, it's very hard for them to win. Pretty much anything like very roguish, like maybe an Ultimate Conductor Cyrano out of nowhere might be crazy. But mostly Spiral deck, only because it's hard to break the turn 1 board. But if I draw a Droll against them, it's fine. If I go first, I'll be okay. I'm not worried.
Sure. Any spicy techs or anything that you want to talk about? Or if not, too, it's fine. But
absolutely. So I'm main decking Royal Magical Library.
Okay.
And a bunch of my friends already call me crazy for it, but like that card's insane. It lets your deck naturally progress as you build up spell counters and continuously draw cards. So it baits out permanents, it baits out Ash. I'm also main decking Droll, and in my side deck is like something really good. I don't know who's going to hear it, so I'll just keep that to myself.
Okay, that's perfectly fine. So when it comes to Royal Magical Library, that's a blast from the past for all like the old like FDK players who like know that deck. How many cards are you drawing a turn like off of this library? Because it's not once per turn. So
the basic combo with library is like draw library, draw Spell Power Mastery.
Okay.
Then get Servant. At that point, you already have your 3 counters, so you'll draw a card, so your Mastery replaced itself, and your normal summon replaced itself.
Sure.
Then like you can use Spellbook cards to like try to get you more cards, and then as you accumulate counters, they're worried about the other cards, they're not worried about library, where library is actually a thing that's slowly killing them because I'm just acquiring card advantage.
Sure.
And then if you have Citadel, you can like library, draw a card, then draw a card from Citadel, then like Spellbook and Knowledge Way your library. When you're done with it, draw 2 more cards.
That's so broken. I love that. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Izzy, for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Congratulations on your win. And guys, we will be back with round 2 of the Pro Play Tour Invitational as soon as possible. If it's anything like that first feature match, I'm sure you guys are going to enjoy. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back soon.